For them, the whole world is a foreign country, but at the same time, it is their home. The life of foreigners who live and work in Kazakhstan. Their experiences and their insights in a travelogue of a guest. Tune Radio Astana every Saturday at 3:20 p.m.
My name is David Valera Reynoso. I was born to a Barcelonian mother and a Dominican father. As far as how I came to discover Kazakhstan, about 8 years ago, I was walking down Manhattan Street and I was stopped by a Kazakh and asked for directions. And I noticed the Asian appearance with the Russian accent. The Kazakh citizen, which I had met in Manhattan, was a student, having traveled to 60 countries prior to meeting this person. Like most Americans, I had never heard of Kazakhstan. And they had just arrived and they did not know their way around Manhattan. They didn't know how to rent an apartment. A lot of the basic things that we as Americans take for granted. So when they stopped and asked me for directions and I got curious, that series of events led to other things like, do you know how I can rent an apartment? How much does it cost? What do they look for? What's a reasonable price? Do you know where I can buy, clothes and not spend too much money? Do you know how I can get to Coney Island? Do you know how I can get to the Statue of Liberty? So I just said, look, you seem like a pretty nice person. Why don't I take a day off and show you around and show you how things get done around here? If you need any help, call me after that. And sure enough, I took a day off and so we struck up a friendship. They were here for the summer as a summer student. They came back to Petropavlovsk and we would communicate from time to time via email. And then a year later, I get an email saying, hey, listen, we've been talking long enough. I've told my family about you. I think it would be great if you can come, visit us and we can return the hospitality that you showed us in New York. And I remember thinking to myself, it's really not that big a deal. It's not a problem. No, but my family would really like to meet you. So I thought, okay, well, this is a place I've never traveled to, never heard of. I'm very ignorant about what goes on over there. So sure, okay, I'll go to Kazakhstan. And next thing I knew, I was on a plane to Kazakhstan. The first time I visited it, the first city I came to visit was Petropavlovsk, and I fell in love with it. Not so much because of the city, but because of the people. When the plane landed, there were like 40 relatives, including 7, 8-year-old children running up to me, hugging me, who I guess I'd never met, a foreigner before. We drove to their house. More relatives came to say hello. Having traveled before, I've never experienced that type of warm hospitality. So that was my first experience to Kazakhstan. I come from a finance background. I'm a former investment banker. I worked at all the big investment firms on Wall Street. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, so I built a commercial real estate development agency in Manhattan. Today we employ about 400 people. We manage about 800 buildings. And the more I learned about Kazakhstan, the more I visited Kazakhstan as a tourist, the more I discovered that I can contribute more to this country than just as a tourist, because it's a developing country. And it offers, in my opinion, as a former investment banker, a lot of opportunities for not just expats, but for locals. It certainly takes time, because again, it is a developing country. But one of the biggest examples I can point to is the Astana International Financial Center. You're the only one of its kind in all of Central Asia. And it's like I tell my New York counterparts, what is the AIFC when they ask me? I said, it's basically their version of the New York Stock Exchange. And it's the only one of its kind in all of Central Asia. So Kazakhstan has launched a lot of really great initiatives. Another additional thing that I can point to is the Silk Road Initiative, where Kazakhstan is geographically located to be the primary focal trade point across all of the Central Asian regions. That gained the interest so much so of my American counterparts that we actually hosted a group of 50 Harvard students and staff on the Silk Road Initiative. And then the last thing I did was recently this summer. I have 3 children. Ages 16, 15, and 12. And they came here and spent the summer. And they didn't just come here as tourists. They came here under a very heavy cultural exchange program that I helped create. And they went to Astana, Almaty, Shymkent, and then they traveled to the rural parts of Shymkent. And they talked about life in New York and growing up and what life was like here. They learned how to cook traditional Kazakh dishes. I learned how to cook beshbarmak. And we educated ourselves as much as we could about the country and its people. I moved to Kazakhstan in June of this year, and I spent 6 months 4 to 6 months in Kazakhstan, 4 to 6 months because I have a business in New York. So I live half the time in New York and half the time in Kazakhstan. One of the key components of my job is raising awareness about Kazakhstan in the United States. In the United States, we know very little even about Central Asia. So I founded what's called the United States Kazakhstan Trade Council, of which I am the spokesperson. It's a nonprofit. Air Astana approached me and asked me to be their official United States representative. So we hold forums every several months where we invite business leaders in the United States to come and attend and listen to all of the different reasons why Kazakhstan is an attractive investment and business market. That's one of the focal points of what we do. We educate, hold forums with respect to what Kazakhstan is really all about. Since founding that a year ago, we've hosted over 300 families. A lot of these people come back 2 or 3 times. They love it. Kazakh people are known to be very warm and friendly and open. Number 2, Kazakhstan is an interesting country because if you take, for example, Nur-Sultan, it is a reflection of the modern advances that a country with only a 28-year history has made. You're the #1 economy in all of Central Asia, and you've launched some of the first initiatives ever anywhere in this region. So they love that. They love Almaty because of its mountains and its nature. They love Shymkent because part of our hospitality and our education of Kazakh citizens is to show them a traditional Kazakh wedding. So we take them to traditional Kazakh weddings. They find them completely amazing. What we learned is that everybody doesn't like the same thing. Some people like to go to Shari Canyon and go hiking. So we prepare special tours for them that focus around that. Other people just want to come in and see the country for what it is. Special tours around that. I think the main thing is, instead of a special program, the main thing is to offer visitors a unique and different perspective on Kazakhstan that differs from what they originally thought in the beginning. Because with a name like Kazakhstan ending in stan, most people confuse it with Afghanistan or Pakistan or some other part of the world. We try to educate them and say that, that's just a name. Kazakhstan is a standalone country with its own history, its own culture, and its own people. If you come experience for yourself, you'll understand. In addition to that, we were also approached by Bolshak to launch what's called the English for Just Star program. English for Just Star was a tremendous success for us because it allowed us to bring American teachers into Kazakhstan to teach the rural parts of the country. And it also allowed us to allow Americans to discover Kazakhstan for what it really is. In addition to that, we also work in healthcare. Currently, the most recent project I'm working on right now is I have a team of about 30 doctors who is looking to come here and do business here, create joint ventures with local doctors. That project is actually something that we're very focused on because for the first time ever in the history of Kazakhstan and the United States, Kazakh citizens will be able to work with American doctors in improving their health and making sure that they receive the best possible medical treatment available to them, both in Kazakhstan and the United States. We joined the IFC because we feel that the IFC is a growing institution. They're constantly evolving and constantly changing. So we felt that in order to, as a businessman, in order to properly benefit from the changes that the IFC is implementing, we needed to get in early. I would like to see the AIFC offer businesses like mine more opportunities in HR, human resources, in hospitality, in management consulting, in healthcare. I would like to see the AIFC offer businesses like mine who specialize and have a proven history of success, opportunities in education. In the United States, I'm the most high-profile American with respect to Bolshak and education and bilateral exchange between U.S. universities and Kazakh universities. Right now we're putting together a project where, if it's successful, Yale University will be opening up its first DNA lab. Can't mention the name of the school, in one of the schools here. And not only will they open up their first DNA lab, students from Yale will come here and collaborate with students from this particular university on implementing best practices for studying DNA, identifying disease and curing disease, and helping people like local Kazakh citizens live longer lives. Nobody has time for a personal life. You make time for a personal life. So when I'm in New York, I do make time to be with my children. I'm a divorced father. Me and their mom get along great. We've known each other since we were 14. So I make it a point to spend time with my children. I'm lucky. I have a lot of friends here, so I spend time with them. I don't differentiate between my work life and my professional life because I'm so in love with what I do and I'm so in love with the work that I'm doing in this country that I don't really stop to think about whether or not, I'm setting time aside for my personal life. I like fitness. Besides that, going out to dinner. I love going out to the cinemas. I like to shop. Yeah, sure. I like to go to the mall and buy a pair of pants that feels good on me. Who doesn't? Whoever tells you they don't is lying. I like to try new things, adventure tourism. For instance, in Kazakhstan, you don't have this, but in the United States, we have something called a Spartan race. And a Spartan race is essentially a run through the mountains faced with obstacles, climbing, carrying, crawling. So I've done a lot of those. And it's interesting because I was meeting with an American colleague of mine in New York City and Manhattan a few weeks ago. And he was telling me, how come Kazakhstan doesn't have one of these, David? So, well, that's my hope that, in time we can bring one. Once again, my name is David Valera. My Saturday wish is that every expat who comes here adopts a socially conscious enough agenda to understand that Kazakhstan is a developing country and that if your only goal is to make money, you should stay home. My Saturday wish is that when they come here, they find programs and opportunities that not only they can make money in, but that they can benefit the individual lives of local citizens in this country who so desperately need it, okay? I visited orphanages, handicapped children. So my Saturday wish is that every single expat who comes here and hires a local Kazakh citizen pays them more than the average salary that most Kazakh citizens make here. And my Saturday wish is that Kazakhstan continues to thrive as a nation and that, especially in the United States, the perception of this part of the world changes and people realize that it is a welcoming, peaceful, wonderful place to visit with so many options.
For them, the whole world is a foreign country, but at the same time, it is their home. The life of foreigners who live and work in Kazakhstan. Their experiences and their insights in a travelogue of a guest. Tune Radio Astana every Saturday at 3:20 p.m.